Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my weekly live stream for an hour and a bit of Node-RED development work, doing something interesting within the core of the project. So what are we going to do? You may have noticed I've updated the title down in wherever it is, down there, to something interesting. I haven't got a specific thing. I've got a couple possible things to delve into tonight. Before I commit to spending time on either of them, I'm going to spend a couple minutes just talking through what they are and trying to see which is going to be most useful, should we say, covering over the next hour and a half or so. For those who've been following along the last few weeks, we've been working on arrange tools, so aligning nodes on edges. Last week we added in a bunch of stuff into the menu for all of this stuff. For those who have been following along, let me just get things running in the background whilst I talk to you, and just show you where that got to. I know there was we spent some time adding the shortcuts to the menu items, so you could see what the keyboard shortcuts were. I've broken something. Hold on. What I did after that was I changed the style slightly. I think perhaps fair to say be a bit more in keeping with. Sorry, I have really broken my settings file trying to tidy up what I've been working on. In a rush. Here we are. So I've tweaked the style of those slightly, and I'll show you that in a second once I've got Node-RED running again. But as a general theme, the last 2 or 3 live streams, I think we're pretty much done in this area. So if I show you where we got to. So now we've got the menu. You can see the shortcuts are shown. I got rid of the border on the shortcuts, and they are all slightly fainter. I know every operating system has a different guideline for how to do shortcuts, but I think this probably works the best. And we've got the edit menu with all of its options. We've got the arrange menu with all the new stuff in. So all of this is now merged into the dev branch for 2.1. So if you follow along at home, that's now good to go. Something else I've been working on is the new tour guide feature, which I teased on Twitter with a demo video of. But let me just pull that up. No, do I want tour guide or I want tour guide 2. So this is a new framework for creating interactive tutorials in Node-RED. The idea being we keep adding new features in each release. Not everyone reads the release notes. People don't always relate the release notes to when they actually sit down and upgrade and run stuff. So it would be nice to have a way to introduce new features in the editor that's a bit more interactive. So at the moment, it is you have to run it manually, and I'm just trying to find, here it is, tour guide. So there's still lots to do on this, but this is what it's doing at the moment. The idea being, for example, the first time you start the editor for a given major release, 2.1, 2.2, the first time you fire it up, it'll walk you through a guide to some of the new features. So let's take a moment to discover the new features in this release. So it's a guide, but it gets the framework. I've built it so that it can be more than just a series of dialogues. It can actually highlight elements of the screen. It can interact with the screen and introduce you to new stuff. So You don't need to read the words. These are all kind of placeholders at the moment, and there's plenty more to do. So that's quite neat. There is another tour, because I'm kind of building it to work out what functionality we need in the framework, because it's also meant to, like I said, do interactive tours, which is more than just clicking through dialogues. So I'm working on this other one, a very simple create your first flow. Now you may have noticed this one, to add a new tab, click the plus button. There's no next button, because what it's doing is actually waiting for me to click the plus button. Now it says, and the palette lists all of the nodes available to use, drag a new inject node into the workspace. So as I mouse over, as I mouse over, it hits a bug. Dimensions not defined. Okay. What that was meant to do, and I thought it was working, so I've obviously broken something. I'm not going to debug that now. It would then expand that focus right the way out again, so I'll be able to drag a node in, and I'll be able to wire things together, and yeah. So the idea is trying to build a framework that you can create tutorials. They can be, as well as introduce big new features. It could just be have in like in the help section where we have all the node help, there could be a section of tutorials, and you say, give me the how to use the editor tutorial, and it just walks you through the basics of using the editor, or give me the subflow tutorial, and it will step you through, help you create a subflow that does something but teaches you the different components. Those are the rough ideas. It's super early days, still just building the basic framework, and still some bugs to fix, but it should be quite cool. The tours themselves are so that's the work at the moment, is building some example tours to work out what's the actual functionality needed. So the tour is, let me make this so you can see it. The tour is effectively an array of all the steps with everything you'd expect, like the title, the description, and then you can start where there's an element you want it to focus on. You can identify that. You can tell it to wait until some event happens, either a DOM event like a click, or this one waits until you've added an inject node into the workspace, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's the tour guide. Work in progress. Should see that actually go live in the 2.1 release. But that's not for tonight. There are actually a couple other things I wanted to have a look at tonight. I've been neglecting the chat. Let me say hello to everyone on the chat. Jimbo Squashy, Sausage UK, Grunt Spy, Ball Geek, Pokeballs. Who else have I missed? Trognash, Rebelor. Thank you all for joining. It's always great to see you all here. Ball Geek asks, I wonder how the tour guide could be tweaked for beginners or advanced. Yeah, I mean, for the introduction to, the intro to a new version of Node-RED, it's got to be fairly high level, because it just needs to raise awareness rather than be an in-depth tutorial as to how to use all the new features. That's something we'll have to experiment or just play around with to get the right feel for how much time to spend on particular items. I think often, as much as anything, just alerting a user that a feature exists is enough to pique their interest, to then go and read in the docs or whatever, or in the full release notes about how to actually use it. So yeah, but what are we going to do tonight? I think this is the one I'm going to look at. So right, complete change of pace. this was a discussion I had on the forum or Slack or somewhere with these guys who maintain the Victron nodes, Victron Energy. They run Node-RED on a embedded device of some type with a particular operating system on. Their node has a binary component and it's pre-installed. So that the use case the problem they have is their end users. They might publish new versions of the node that require a binary update, but they aren't able to install the build tools on the small device, which means at the moment, I mean, this is all just a point in time, as I understand it, they don't want end users being able to upgrade the version of their node that they pre-install on the device. They're free to upgrade other things, but they don't want the users being able to upgrade their node. So the approach they had proposed, and it's in this pull request and the linked forum discussion, was in the palette manager. If we just pull that up, we have update buttons if there's an update available. What they have done, what they have proposed is to add a CSS class to that button that includes the normalized version of the node name. So red-update followed by the name of the node. And that by doing that, so in their case, they'd end up, the update button would have an CSS class of red-update Victron Energy Node-RED client Victron. They could then apply some custom CSS in their embedded version of Node-RED that hides that element so that the update button would never get shown. Now it's a simple workaround to the problem, but it's a bit too much of a hack for us to take on as is. And it's a bit too much of a hack because just hiding the button doesn't do anything to prevent, for example, a well-crafted request to the admin API. Hiding the button doesn't turn off the API that would allow a request to be made to update that node. So rather than take this the approach they've suggested, and I understand why they've suggested it. It's a really simple fix, and it's kind of a pragmatic, quick solution. But given this sort of change isn't going to go in until 2.1 later this month, we do have a bit of time to get the fix right. So what I had proposed was a couple of releases ago, we introduced this new external modules setting, which includes allow and deny lists. Oh, I should show you. Yeah, this is what we've currently got. So you can, for the palette, you can enable and disable installs. So you can turn off the palette manager entirely with allow and deny lists to determine what you can install. It seems to me the logical extension for this requirement is to have an allow upgrade flag. So it might be you allow an install, but you don't allow upgrades. Now it's a slightly, this is admittedly an edge case, and for majority of users, this isn't interesting, but for embedded users, I could well imagine this might come up again in the future. So as well as having the binary flag, because of course for these guys, they want people to be able to install and upgrade other nodes. It's purely their one that they need to pin in because of the binary dependency it has. So as well as the allow and deny list for install, to introduce allow upgrade and a deny upgrade list. The theory being the logic around it would be identical to the install lists, but we would just apply that logic when it's an upgrade being requested. So that can police it both in the runtime API, but we can also pass that information up to the editor for the palette manager to honor as well. So the palette manager doesn't offer the button. That's all the theory. I haven't really got a sense of how we're going to do this, but we're just going to plug away at it and see where we get to. So what I'm going to do is first up edit my settings file and find my external modules. Let's just make this, oops. Okay, so here's my external modules. It is, well, currently the palette stuff's commented out, so I've got all the defaults. We're going to comment palette back in, and we're going to start by allowUpgrade false. Are we going to start there? Yeah, let's start there. So I'm going to set allowUpgrade to false. Now, because it's a brand new set. Ooh, let's check out a branch for this before I get carried away. Upgrade deny list. We'll call the branch. Yeah, because this is a brand new setting, setting it to false isn't going to do anything because we've got absolutely no code that cares about that setting right now. So what are we going to do? We want to find external modules.palette something. That's where we're going to start. Let's get rid of that. And we're going to look in, yeah, it must be in the registry because it's the registry module which deals with loading of nodes. So let's just look at what we've got. So we're in the installer, which is a mighty good place to be. Yeah, there's some duplication going on here, but so this is when we initialize the registry installer, and it's just getting its install and deny lists in order. So we're going to add in here. You can see we've got install allow list, install deny list, install all allowed, and install version restricted. Yeah, we can add basically the same set of properties with their sensible defaults. And, you know, DRX 2015, you know, I will never say a bad word against PHP, but equally I'm unlikely to ever really do anything with PHP. My WordPress plugin development days are, oh, that's a young man's game these days. Upgrade all allowed, and I'm not worried about the version restrictions at the moment. Might not need to come to that. So first we're checking we've got some external modules palette settings. This is just going to be a bit of boilerplate cut and paste. Allow upgrade list and deny upgrade list. Then that one, just copy and paste. Then, so that gives us just the lists. We've then got a utility function that can take those and basically turns it into a list, a format that is more efficient for us to work with later on. I'm not going to dwell on that. Like I said, a lot of this is just copy and pasting. A lot of the logic just, oops. So we get our allow list, we get our deny list. The all allowed is a simple Boolean that says, well, if there's nothing in the deny list, therefore everything's allowed. It's the edge case that will apply to most users who haven't set these properties. So it allows us to short circuit checking empty lists all the time. So, okay, we've set up the properties in the file. Let's now go and look at where these things get applied. So, right, down here we are install module. Okay, again, a good place to be. What we care though is now the upgrade scenario. So this is the function we call when we want to install a module to a given version. Here we have is_upgrade. Is_upgrade means we've already got that module installed. Yeah, it is existing and it's an upgrade. Yeah, so at this point we can do the if is upgrade, then we need to check this module is allowed to be upgraded. That's what we've got to do. So let's just scroll back up to look at the install check. Well, first up we can say is upgrade and not upgrade all allowed. Like I said, that's the short circuit. That will be true if we're allowed to upgrade anything. If it's false, then we need to do a bit more work in the case of an upgrade to check. Then again, this boilerplate code, we've got a standard utility function that can, given a module name, given the version we're going to be installing, and we give it the upgrade allow list and the upgrade deny list, then if that doesn't pass, then we can create a new error. Upgrade not allowed, and throw it. Okay, so that does the work on the code path that it is an upgrade. Upgrade all allowed is false, and what we're trying to install is not on the allow list, or it is on the deny list. Like I said, the check module allowed does the work to compare what we're trying to work with on both the allow and deny lists and comes to a conclusion. And then it throws the error. So this should be pretty consistent, and that should just work. So how can we test it? Well, here I can conveniently see that Node-RED contrib qgate has an update available. So I'm going to stick that on the deny list. No, allow upgrade. Do that. Try again. Right. Allow up. Oh, there. Allow upgrade false. Oh yes, because I sort of jumped ahead. Okay, I have jumped ahead. I'm doing the allow and deny lists before. So upgrade allowed true. And then here we're going to say if settings dot external, copy and paste. Too much to write out every time. What do I call it? Allow upgrade. If settings dot palette dot has own property allow upgrade, then upgrade allowed equals whatever its value is. And just for cleanliness, we'll coerce it into a boolean. And then down in this code, we've added is upgrade and and not upgrade allowed, or actually yes. Let's just be a bit more consistent with our flags. I'm going to say upgrade all allowed equals that. Hold on. If upgrade allowed is true, then that needs to take the value of whether there's anything in the deny list or not. Otherwise, if upgrade allowed isn't true, then we want false. I think that's the right logic. Upgrade allowed, which means the top level setting is true, then upgrade all will depend on the deny list. Otherwise, it's false. Yeah, that hangs together. In which case, I can go back to this being, so it's an upgrade and it's not true that everything's allowed. Then here, it's either the case that either upgrade allowed, it's false, or it's not on the list, and then upgrade not allowed. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense to me. I don't know how coherent I've been in saying it out loud to you guys, but by having allow upgrade false there, what we should find is, if I just hide that, if I click this update button, failed to update. Upgrade not allowed. Now, upgrade, update, and we use the word update. And what have I put in the file? Yeah, and we call it upgrade internally in the code, but we call it update. Oh, okay. And what have I called it here? I've called it upgrade here. It should be update. If update is the term we use in the UI, then it should be, yeah, we have to be consistent on that aspect. So fixed it there, and then each one of these we just need to rename to update allow. Oops. Yeah, anyway, how was everyone doing? Has everyone had a good week? Hey Noxy boy, thanks for joining. Let me find, have I got, yeah, we want replace allow upgrade to allow update. Now, have I got any more upgrades? There's a deny upgrade list. Deny update list. You've been doing your aircraft tracking flow code. How's that going, Bald Geek? 'Cause I know you've done some very impressive stuff with your tracking. Yes, I just check I have updated all the updates and all the upgrades. Is that great? Update allowed, update allow list, update deny list. Then here, update not allowed. Of course I realized, yeah, we do log the word upgrading. Oh. But we're going to, yeah, maybe I'll flip-flop between upgrade and update a bit more. But so let's try that update again. Yeah, update not allowed. Good. And that it should fail for everything. Yep, update not allowed. Bear in mind, we will in a minute do the work to hide the update buttons for these things. But for now, that's good. So now we're going to set update, allow update to true. And then the allow update. No, we're going to set the deny update list to node contrib qgate. Nothing personal, just the first in my list that needs an update. Okay, so deny update list. Let's try update to 154. Ooh, failed to update. Install version is not defined. Intriguing. That's a different error. Let me just... Have I copy and pasted something into the wrong place? Let's just recreate. Yeah, install version is not defined. Okay, have I made another typo? Installer line 186. 186. Oh yeah. Okay, so install version, sure enough, isn't. Right, let me, because I'm not so, at this point I'm not going to worry about preventing upgrades to particular versions for now, because I think that's going to get horribly complicated. What I want to look at is, does this utility we have for checking against the lists care about version? I mean, can we not pass in? Yeah, look, we check. We only do the check for version if version has been specified. So that's good. We can just pass in a null there because we're not concerning ourselves with what version you're actually requesting. So let's try again. Update to 154. Update not allowed. Good. And then if I go pick, oh, is it dashboard the only other one I've got? That's a bit of a big one to, oh well. If we try updating dashboard, that one's been allowed. And you can see it's busy installing that one in the background. Yeah. Okay, well that worked. There is a question over the logging. And yeah, it logs upgrading. Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I can imagine a lot of people, Bull Geek, a lot of people with a sudden interest in following planes in and out of certain areas of the world. Well, I hope Node-RED stood up to the load. Well, that's good to know. Production ready, you know. Okay, so we've got that working. What I do need to do is set ourselves up for to do some more testing. I kind of need more modules with updates waiting to be updated. So let's pick, Node-RED, Node Random. Favorite of mine to pick on. Nothing personal, Node-RED, Node Random. Just he's a particularly small node that doesn't hurt matters if I am installing and reinstalling it repeatedly. Let's just go find what versions of it. If we're going to install an older version, let's go back to 0.3.1. Okay, whilst that's going in the background, oh, I've already got the file open somewhere. Let's go find that. So now I'm going to change to having an allow update list without a deny list. And say Node-RED, Node Random. So now we're saying the only thing I'm going to allow you to update is Node-RED, Node Random. That's what that means. Let's kick Node-RED to restart it. Noxboy, any interesting use cases? I mean, in some ways, I hear of so many, yet also I don't hear enough of them, if that makes sense. The forum is always full of people doing interesting things. How much they share in specific detail varies. I'm always interested in hearing more real-world use cases, more real-world stories. Plenty of people doing interesting, fun stuff in the home automation space. I know quite a fun one. A former colleague of mine does amateur astronomy, but amateur at the level of he has a far bigger telescope in his back garden than I've ever seen in someone's back garden. And he's got Node-RED flows that automate the roof on it, so that whilst it might be set up to do long exposures overnight to get cool photos of the stars, if he detects rain, he's got to cover up all the equipment. So he's got one of the Node-RED flows watching the it used to be the dark sky stuff. I don't know what it uses now, but if any rain is predicted within half an hour, it sort of closes up all the hatches, and I think it sends him an alert in bed so he can go out overnight and take care of the very expensive equipment. But yeah, there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on with Node-RED. And I enjoy hearing your stories, in part because I often get asked, what cool stuff have you heard of? And I spend far more time developing Node-RED and things around it than I do using it to do cool stuff. So yeah, right. So we're testing what are we doing? We are testing that the allow update list, having that set to that should be the only thing that is allowed to be updated. So QGate here should fail. Yep, upgrade not allowed. and Node-RED node random update. Yeah. Cool. So I think on the runtime side, that's all working just as it should. Yeah, Pokeballs, a whole bunch of industrial automation space. Node-RED comes up again and again and again, which is really cool. So it'll be interesting to see as people build out more commercial platforms with it and do more with it. I'm certainly excited to see how that develops. Right, whilst we're in here, I just want to check. Because it wasn't just external modules. We're only dealing with the palette manager, so we don't need to worry about external modules, which is the function node stuff. Here we're in the installer, which is the work we've just done. Local file system. Oh, this is loading the module in the first place. So that's not about updating it, that's about loading it. So cool. We're there for that side. So now let's switch our attention to the editor. So first up, we have to get the information to the editor about what the allow and deny lists are. So they are in editor API, search in this folder for deny list. No. Let's try external module. Yeah. No. No. Right, how do we tell the editor what's on the allow and deny list? How do we do that? Is it in theme? Pokeballs, I think it's only true to say it's one of those spaces that traditional manufacturers have haven't necessarily embraced open standards, and they've tried to own a bigger slice of the stack than they get away with today. So having more generic tools like Node-RED certainly eases the there. So yeah, certainly eases the load. So here we have. So I was trying to search for allow list just to find where do we pull it from settings and put it into what gets past the editor. And in fact, we cheat slightly in that we don't look for editor settings. We look for the whole. Do we look for the whole palette thing? But that's. Well, this will tell us if I just reload the editor. Let's have a look at red.settings. External modules palette, and you can see awesome. So I thought I had to hunt down the code to make sure these settings got exported, but they already are by virtue of being where they are. So you can see in the editor I have allow update and allow update list. So that's that step done for us. Now we want to go into the editor code itself. Noxable, have you played with Dino at all? No, I've not played with Dino. It doesn't interest me that much, just because it's just another language that happens to be JavaScript, and given it's not like it's a alternative JavaScript runtime that we could just spend 5 minutes porting Node-RED to, that isn't what it's there for, then yeah, it exists. I've been doing this for long enough that I tend to not get too excited by the new languages as they come through. Yeah, they are of interest. It exists for a reason. It's certainly interesting to see how the JavaScript community takes to it, what can be learnt. I hope it feeds stuff back into the Node.js project. But yeah, who knows? What are we doing? We're looking for the palette manager. So we're in the editor client, source, JS, UI, palette editor. Now this is a bit of code that is ripe for refactoring. It's a bit of a behemoth, and there's a whole bunch of utility functions in the core, in the UI of Node-RED. This doesn't use that it could use, and it would reduce a whole load of the code. But I'm not getting into that now. But what we are going to do is basically the same as what we've just done in the runtime. There's a bunch of utility code for setting up the allow and deny lists. We just got to do a bunch of copy and paste and name replacement just to set up to set all this up. Update allow list, update deny list, allow update list. Just going to be a little bit of muttering to myself as I try and make sure I copy and paste all the right bits into all the right places. And the fact, just the fact I've now got this block of code, identical block of code twice, that's right for a bit of refactoring and make it a bit more of a utility thing, but we'll save that for a rainy day. So now we've done this. Just jump down, and here's the line that can do the check whether a module is allowed or not. Now we need to go find where do we display the how do we decide to display the update button. So we're going to go look for it's things like this. See it? What on earth is this code doing? But update button. Okay, so that's where we create and insert the update button, but I think we insert it everywhere. And then we store a reference to it, and then somewhere, there we go, update button.show. So that's where we decide to show the button. And we show the button because in doing a comparison of the version number between what we've got loaded and what we find in the catalog, therefore there's an update, then we show it, but we're going to add a clause. Not only is there an update available, but it's one we are allowing to upgrade. Upgrade, deny list. Cool. I think that does it. I think module is going to be the right thing in this context, and again null is okay to pass that in. What state are we in? Let's reload. Bring up the palette manager. Oh, error. Upgrade allow list is not defined. Oh, I got. Yep, I knew I'd do that. It's update allow list and update. Yeah, see, I call it the update button. Exactly, upgrade or update. Well, manage palette. Oh, another error. Cannot read properly. Test of undefined. Chest against list. Rule.module. Curious, but I think I know what the problem there is. Let me find where we initialize all our variables. I think the problem is I am in my current settings. I'm setting one of them. I'm setting allow update list. Ah, there's the problem. You can see here I'm faffing around with deny list twice rather than... There we are. Because this parse module list takes care of if that's null, which it will be in this case. It initializes it properly, but anyway. Let's have a look. Okay, so we've opened up the palette manager, and there are no update buttons. Ah, okay. There are no update buttons. Let's just do a npm install of node-red node random, not 3.1. Let's just downgrade node-red node random because that's the one I have on my allow list at the moment. That's done. Let's just kick node-red to restart, reload its settings. Go to palette manager. So no update button on QGate, good. And random does have update. Cool. Job's done. Yeah, let's update that. Nice. Well, that's the work done. No, it's not. No, it is not. So we want to do one more thing. In fact, I'm going to back level node-red node random. There is one more bit to do here, which is if I set allow update to false, then we shouldn't show anything. So let's just wait for that to restart. So whilst that's chaining away, I'm going to make a start on the code change. Where is it? Palette editor. Update allowed. Set that to true. We do all that work and then say update allowed red.settings.get. What's nice with red.settings.get is it deals with all the what if any of those properties don't exist, but it also lets us provide a default value. And this wants to be allow update. Is that what we called it? Allow update. Yeah. Okay, so let's just reload the editor and just check what does this line of code return. It should return false because that's what's in our settings file, and sure it does. Return false. And then let's go find update button dot hide. Well, so here we want if update allowed and subvert compare and yeah. So instead of hiding the button altogether, we would prefer to disable the button. Well, for the use case for this, the person administrating Node-RED has said this module cannot be updated. So on the basis, so I just say that yes, we don't have any update buttons, neither on random nor QGate. Sorry, I suppose instead of hiding the button altogether, we prefer to disable it. This way the package is identified as outdated, but it's disabled because it's been identified by the developer. It can't be updated. But we have to distinguish here between the administrator and the Node-RED flow developer, which could be the same person, but for the scenarios where they are different people, the administrator, the person who edits the settings file, has, for some reason, said this list of modules may not be updated. So the premise there is they've said that for good reason, and to sort of dangle the carrot of there's an update available but you're not allowed it to the end user is perhaps not doesn't help the user. Based on the fact that it's been an administrative decision not to allow that update. So I think that's okay for now. If people flag up other use cases where they want to say you're not allowed to update in the settings file, but they do want to say if updates were available, not that you can do anything about it, we can explore that. But I think these changes do kind of address the root use case, the root requirement. Okay. So I was going to wrap it up there, and I was going to do all the commit and all that dance. But what we ought to do first are a couple of unit tests, because, yeah, I don't want our unit test coverage getting any worse than it already is. So the runtime, because we only have unit tests for the runtime, the changes of any significance we made were in installer.js. So we have installer_spec companion files. So these are the tests for that file. You can see all the tests for the install scenarios. If I collapse down, yeah. Somewhere here we ought to have we don't have. We don't have unit tests for the allow and deny list stuff. Deep breath. Right, bear with me whilst I just contemplate life, the universe and everything. just calculating a few hundred things in terms of right. So we don't even have unit tests for the upgrade case because it kind of covers these rejects no. Okay. I'm just wary of running down a fool's errand. But okay, it rejects when update requested to with rejects when update requested with allow update set to false. Let's start small and we'll build up. So what do we need to do to run this test? Well, at the moment, this test, before it runs each test, it initializes the installer with an empty settings object. For this test, we need to use a different. We don't want to use the default settings. We want to provide some. We are testing its handling of this stuff. So allow update false. That's what we want to test on this one. So if we just look through these test cases up here, succeeds when module is found. So here we have, I'm just going to copy this test wholesale. Yes. No, because we need to be going down the update path, not just an install path. So that's not the test case we want to be copying. There was one about succeeds when, here we go. Oh no, rejects when update requested to existing version. Let's grab that as a starter for 10, because I'll step you through exactly what this test is doing. So we use Cinnamon to stub out bits of the internal runtime. So we stub out a call to get module info. So what the installer is doing is it calls that with the module name to find out, is this already installed? So we're faking that out and we're going to return, yep, it's already installed and it's version 0.1.1, which that will push it down the, we're doing an upgrade path. Now, I can't, so then we're actually making the function call. You can see it, the module name's irrelevant because whatever we query, we're going to return, yes, 0.1.1 is installed. Let's say, we want to update to 0.1.2. Again, we want to be triggering the upgrade path. And then what we expect is for that to hit our error scenario, which will throw an error with a code update not allowed. Okay, let's run that. Let's see. So to run it, we do mocker test unit at node-red registry lib installer spec, and that's passed. And hopefully in here, rejects when update requested with allow update set to false. So that works for that scenario. So let's just add in some others. Camera frozen. Oh, it has, hasn't it? Is that me? How are we going to... Oh, no, of course, changing the screen has just cleared the chat. Sorry about that, chaps. How do we bring that camera back to life? So I can give you a different view of me altogether. Oh no, you can see my big microphone sat in the corner. Let's switch back. And there we are. Back to the proper view of me. Cool. Thanks for, yeah, do shout when something like that happens. So we're going to write another test when rejects an update requested with module on deny update list. So here we're going to have deny update list. On that list we will have this won't exist. Yeah, I think that should do it. Yep, that passed. But we only know that that's passed if we successfully manage to install something that, yeah, we need to be able to successfully install something else. So let's we can chain up our promises here. And so after all that is done, we're going to try installing this is allowed. I'll make that 010. No, we're still trying to trigger the upgrade path, and so we still need a version number that's going to appear to be an upgrade on this one. Then, I think, does that do it? So, first we try to install something called this won't exist, which is on deny list, which should throw an error, so the catch will get evaluated, and we can check that we get update not allowed. Then, as long as that succeeds, it will then do this, which is then try and install this is allowed as an upgrade, and that should return done. My only hesitation here is I don't know if we will need to stub any other bits of the code for that test to work. Okay, update not allowed. Rejects. Okay. That hasn't worked, but why has that not worked? The challenge here is trying to work out, with all this async stuff going on, where on earth any of that's coming from. So this is a bit hacky. Okay, update not allowed. It's not giving me a lot to go on, is it? Why is this allowed not being allowed? Ooh. That's unexpected. Sorry, what must I? That's caught my eye because that should be a regular expression with a string in it, but it's got object in the middle of, which looks fishy to me. Right, one thing at a time. Okay, let's just comment out that test. Go back to the test we were doing just then, because it's got this super fishy object in. Because that's what this parse module list logic is doing. Have I got these all the right way around? Update list, update allow list, update deny list, update deny list. Yeah, so I've just trying to look for any signs that I've mucked up some parsing. So let's go look at. Yeah, I'm sort of deep in the weeds now of how instructive this is, but parse module list. Where is it getting all these objects from? What am I passing in here? Got it. Have I got it? Yes, I've got it. So the problem is no, I don't got it. Oh, I'm so close to it, but I can't quite put my finger on it. So things are good here. Things are good here, and then it all goes. Because I'm modifying the objects in place, and that's screwing up subsequent runs of the test because something's not getting reset or something's getting overwritten. Yes. Yes. So you can see here I set default values to my lists and these Boolean flags, but that's done once when the file's required, and each time I call init, it's then doing a whole bunch of work. If these properties have been set, it's then doing work on the assumption that they will still have their default values if these if statements don't apply. But because a previous run of the test case has modified them, the next test case is getting those modified values. So what we do for the sake of the tests is we reset, each time we init this module, we reset all of those back to their defaults. Yeah, so now when I run it, the tests pass. Yeah. Okay. It's an interesting point actually about when you're writing tests, that I've just had to make a code change that's completely irrelevant to running Node-RED, because when you run Node-RED, this file is only required once, init is only ever called once, so this stuff doesn't matter. But to make the code testable, it's important to be able to reset things back to how they were between each test. So, okay, I've got two, yeah. Have I got some console.logs in here anywhere? Because yeah, that's the only one I slipped in. Okay, so that test is now running, which, oh, no, that one fails. Why did that fail? What did I change in the code to make that fail? Oh, okay, so this is the catch block for when we try to install something that should be allowed. Yeah, we're getting an error on line 285, but no description, which is odd. So what's on 285? All the way down here. Install failed. Install failed because I haven't mocked enough other stuff in the test. So let's look for one of the install succeeds when module is found. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. So again, this is ripe for having a bit more utility in this module, but yeah. So I've just got to stub out the call to do the install, because if I want the install to succeed, I need to set the test up to actually succeed. So now if I run it, we're still getting here error at 9285. So I'm getting an error being thrown down here because the npm install has failed. No. Yeah. What's the actual failure? Cannot set pending version of undefined. Oh, okay. So we've not tried. Where's pending version? Set module, yeah. So this is what I was talking about. So the install has succeeded. It's now coming down to this bit of code, and it needs to set a flag to say this module has had an update, which is why the editor will keep complaining until you restart Node-RED. But this is not a function, I believe. Yeah, we don't stub that out at all in here. So what we're going to do is just stub it out, because we want to be able to call this function So in order to stub it out, we're just going to add some boilerplate code to restore any stubs that get created if one gets created. And then down here in our test case, we're going to say so this time it's type registry, not registry. Hold on, what's the difference between type registry and registry? Registry is libindex. Okay, no, that's good, that's good. Type registry set blah 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 blah. We don't care about that. We don't. Set module pending update. Yeah, it needs to return a promise. Yeah, I think that should do it. I'm going to wrap up pretty soon. 22 passing, no failing. I can't read property of loaded on that module. Yeah, so this is the rabbit hole, absolute rabbit hole now of trying to add some tests for scenarios that aren't currently covered. It's good, but it needs more than I can do whilst trying to talk to you guys at the same time. So I am going to at least get, okay, we haven't got the test working yet, but I am going to update palette editor and the installer, at least get a commit in. Not, it won't get merged until the test's been done, but let's get a commit in with the function. Add allow update feature to external modules.palette. Come on, commit faster, come on. One day I'll figure out what that delay is. So push up to a new branch, fire up the pull request. We need to do it against dev because it's a new feature. Come on. Oh, Chrome's going very slow. Who's upsetting it? In fact, my whole machine is going. The stream looks okay. As described in adds external modules.palette to allow finer control over what can be upgraded via the admin API and palette manager. Just copy this. And I will update. My Chrome is very not happy. I just need to go through and change update. Draw attention to the fact that I've changed it. Works in the same way as the install, allow, deny lists, blah blocks upgrades to denied modules on the admin API and hides the update button in the palette manager. And then to do add unit tests. Cool. So I'm going to create draft pull request. Nice. Oh, okay, I'm not going to sweat that. Yes, I am. Oh, man. Put new line. Why is that not? Oh, I give up. No, I won't. Perseverance. Why is that not rendering to do like it should? Is it because of that colon? No. What have I done? I'm confused. Why is it not rendering? Oh, I give up. Cancel. That'll do. Right. So I will make some progress on the unit test on that and get that merged, and that will hopefully make these chaps happy to see that coming in. Quote. Yeah, I don't know. I've been going for 90 minutes. It's time for me to stop. I'm sure it'll be bleeding obvious when I look at it again in the morning. So yeah, there we are. Much further than I was expecting. I thought we'd just start scratching the surface on that, but actually it turned out to be a lot of copy and pasta of the allow, install, allow and deny lists, which is great. We've firmly opened the can of worms of unit tests of this bit of code, but yeah, our unit test coverage stats have been way too low for where we aspire to have them. So I think a couple of hours fixing up the unit tests in this area generally will be goodness. I bet the coverage is a bit low down here. So yeah, have a great week. Thanks for all for joining. Back same time, same place next Monday. And until then, do say hi, do like and subscribe, do follow, do whatever you'd like. But above all, just have a good week. And I'll see you next time. Thanks all, and good night.